everybody, and welcome back to Kicking It with Kenny, where we talk about topics surrounding life, love, and faith. Thank you again, guys, for the love and support that you showed me on my first unofficial video. I am very excited to just start this journey. Today, I'm going to share with you about the day that I found out that I had type 1 diabetes. So let's just get into the story. I don't want to prolong the introduction, but I can remember it was the summer of 2007, and I was super active with my friends. We were walking outside a lot, playing outside. Yes, I still played. In 2007, I was 13. So we were outside, very active, and I started noticing that I was losing weight. And that's one of the symptoms, which I didn't know then, but now I know that's one of the symptoms that showed that I was in fact developing type 1 diabetes. So I was losing weight, and then I noticed that I would get some water before bed, and I would hit the sheets, and then I'd be getting right back up to get some water. Then I would use the bathroom. Then I would get back in the bed, go get some water, go use the bathroom, get back in the bed. So it was just some things that have been leading up to this day. And I was at my dad's house, and I was not feeling good in my body. I was sick. I used the bathroom. I was taking showers every 5 minutes. Like I just could not get right. And I laid down on the bed, and my stepmom came in, and she was like, okay, well, we're gonna actually have to take you to the hospital. I didn't want her to take me, so I called my mom. I had her call my mom, and we drove. The first place she took me was to McDonald's. So I was hungry, I got some food, and we're driving, I'm eating, and I'm not feeling good at all. But I'm like, hopefully something get on my stomach. You know, your mom's, get something on your stomach, maybe you'll feel better, get something on your stomach. So we're headed to the ER, and we get into the ER, and it was empty for some reason, thank God. We get in there, they started, taking my weight, my vitals, just normal, BP, everything was fine. And then they took some blood work. So I was explaining to my mom how I was feeling, and this might be a little much information, but I felt a little itchy in my vaginal area as well. And so she was like, that doesn't sound right for 13-year-old. Maybe, something's going on. So she said, like, maybe you have a yeast infection. And I'm like, I didn't even know what that was. I'm 13. So they come in and they tell me, like, yes, yeast infection is another symptom of, another sign of having type 1 diabetes. So I was losing weight tremendously. I was very thirsty, using the bathroom all the time. And then I did develop a yeast infection. And the blood work finally came back. We were waiting and waiting. And it was actually the doctor who came in. I was like, you can't eat, you can't, he was just telling me all these things. And then when he finally came to the last point, he was just like, your blood sugar was over 1,000 when we came in here. And a normal blood sugar ranges from about 70 to 99, 100. If you're diabetic, 120. But my blood sugar was 1,000. And I looked at my mom, because I knew, that my life was literally about to change. And he's like, you have diabetes. And I didn't know which type at first. My aunt, she had type 2 diabetes that she developed through her pregnancy. So I remember when I was younger, I would help her check her blood sugar. I would help her prick her finger when she was getting ready to test. And I just remember that was the first thing that came into my mind. But then he was like, if you had not come in here now, at this point, you probably would have died, slipped into a coma, or died. And so I'm looking around, I'm 13, hearing this news, and I break down. I'm in tears. I'm like, life is over. You just don't know, like, this was something that I was hearing about this for the first time in my life, about type 1 diabetes. I knew about type 2. I saw my aunt, she took the pill, she checked her blood sugar, but I never thought that it would be me. And God has a funny way of doing things, because I kind of knew, as far as, you know, taking care of myself, I knew what it would entail, checking my blood sugars ever so often, taking insulin and whatnot. But I feel like even those small moments of me helping my aunt, I look back and I'm like, okay, I can see the correlation. But moving forward, they instantly came in and gave me 2 shots. They gave me Novolog and they gave me Lantus. Lantus is a 24-hour acting insulin, and then Novolog is like the short acting. So as soon as you inject it, it goes right to work. But I couldn't eat for 24 hours, and I remember sitting in that bed, just feeling devastated, not really knowing what would be next. And so they ended up transporting me because I went to St. Joe's at first, but then ended up having to go to U of M because that's where they have endocrinology and pediatric endocrinology. So I was in my first ambulance ride. I felt so cool to ride in the ambulance, but devastated at the same time that I was going to the hospital for God knows how long. We arrived at the hospital. I met with a team. I'm now realizing that it was residents, nurses. I met with a bunch of endocrinologists, and I don't know, from that day forward, life completely changed. I could not eat the way that I wanted to eat. I had to carry, you know, at the time I really just had syringes, insulin, and my glucose meter, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And I remember being in the hospital, and my best friend at the time, we're still family to this day, my best friend, Charzay, at the time, she came and stayed with me. I think I was in the hospital for like at least a week, just because they wanted me to get acclimated to giving myself injections. They wanted me to get my parents to get acclimated with what I would have to eat, what I would, you know, have to drink, and just be on a schedule basically. And she stayed with me for a whole week. At this point, we were sharing the same hospital bed. And the doctors would come in and be like, "Is this your twin sister?" We would just be like, "Yep." And that was another moment that I would never forget, because at a young age, being diagnosed with a chronic illness that you will never be able to get rid of, it was frightening for me. And to have that friend, and for her mother to allow her to be there that long, and then the doctors to allow her to, you know, stay with me, that was a saving grace for me. And I talk about this to her every single time that I see her. I'm just like, thank you for staying with me the whole time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're still friends and good family to this day. So I totally appreciate her for that. But long story short, that was the day that my life completely changed. I always wondered if there's anything that I could have done to prevent it. Anything that I could have done to reverse the diagnosis. And unfortunately, with type 1 diabetes, it's not hereditary. It's not something that you say, so I have it, so my children will have it, or I have it, so you know, so and so will have it. It's not something that's hereditary. It's very sporadic, and sometimes it even happens younger. So they were telling me at the time where I was diagnosed, they were like, "You're a little bit older for this diagnosis," which is why they call it juvenile diabetes. Now, I do know some people that have been diagnosed later on in life, but as research continues, they're finding that, you know, this is something that has, you know, stricken the lives of those who are young, 13 or younger. So my life changed forever. And even up until now, I think that to spare your ears and to spare your attention, I think I might break this video up into 3 parts, because I'm telling you about my diagnosis story, and then I want to share just my journey along the way up until my pregnancy. Because being 13, hearing that you have type 1 diabetes, you think about everything. And even at that young age, I'm like, will I be able to have children? And I'm just thankful for the team at Michigan Medicine. I love them so much that I stayed. They let me stay with pediatric endocrinology until I was 22. And I found one of the best adult doctors. He has become one of my greatest friends throughout this whole entire journey. And so that's pretty much it as far as my story, my diagnosis, leading up to my diagnosis. And I can't wait to share more with you. November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and I actually did not plan to start my YouTube channel in November, but the day that I shared it, something inside me was just like, do it. So I'm like, okay, November is Diabetes Awareness Month, so I will start this off with sharing my story of being a type 1 diabetic. So look out for part 2, possibly part 3. So if you made it this far listening to my story, I thank you because I know it's long and the journey is still going every day. I live it every day. I breathe it every day. I'm thinking about type 1 diabetes in some kind of way. But stay tuned. I have more to share. In the meantime, go ahead and comment. I know people have questions and I will definitely address them. So go ahead and comment, subscribe, share, like, all those things that everyone tells you to do in their YouTube videos. Thank you guys. Love you.